Welcome to episode 22 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Tuesday, April 10th, 2018. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a podcast all about my life as a knitter, a crocheter, and a hand dyer of yarn. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really appreciate you joining me today. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character, and I also have a group for this podcast on Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you'll be able to find the show notes for this episode and previous episodes, as well as several other chatter threads. So I would love it if you would join me over there. You can also get in contact with me through my email, which is noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to be with you again today. I am wearing my Lily cardigan that I finished. I showed you last week if you joined me. I am wearing it all the time, pretty much. I absolutely love it, and I've been wearing it as often as I can. So that is what I have on again today. It is so cozy and comfortable. It is pilling a little bit more than I would have expected. I don't know if you can see it, and you know, I guess that's probably normal. Here you can kind of see it on the underarm here that it's pilling a bit, which is a little disappointing. I've already gleaned it once, and it's still pilling. So I said last time that I really highly recommend this yarn. I love the feel of it. It's so cozy and warm, and I love that, but I am disappointed that it is pilling already. I thought it would have been a little bit more. I didn't think it would pill that easily, but anyway, I also have already snagged my sweater 3 times. So that's been a little annoying too. I've caught it on a nail, I caught it on a stitch marker, and I caught it on something else. But anyway, it pulled a bit of a thread out of my right sleeve each time, but I was able to just use a crochet hook to put it back in. So it's all right, but I've had a few little snags already. But that's probably what happens when you wear something, a hand knit garment, all the time. Like I said, I am wearing it all the time because I love it. So anyway, this is a pattern. If you have not tuned in before, this is a pattern that I finished just a week before last, and it is by AIMEE LINDLAND of Amy's Little Kingdom podcast, and I loved this project from start to finish, and I love the finished project as well, or product. I love the finished product. Anyway, today I am hosting a make-along right now that I want to mention. It is called the I Think I Can Make-Along, and it is running until the end of April. April 30th will be the last day that you can join in for that make-along, and it is for any project that you would like to try your hand at that seems a bit intimidating to you. This can be for any craft or skill within a craft that you have never tried before that seems intimidating. My 2 goals for this make-along were to do a brioche project and a steeked project. So I have already completed my brioche project, and I am in the process of steeking a project. So you will see more of that in a minute. But this again can be for any project that you would like to try, but you just have kept putting off because it seems a little too daunting. So again, it can be for any craft. It can be for sewing, spinning, weaving, crocheting, knitting, or like I've said, specific skills within those, like what I am doing. So you can certainly join us over on the Ravelry group for that make-along. There is both a chatter thread and a finished object thread, and you can enter your ideas for what you would like to do. If you want to do a smaller project, there's certainly enough time to join us. And you can also enter your finished objects in the finished object thread. So I would be so happy to see your different ideas for projects that you would like to try and to see your projects. So today I have a finished object. I have finished my stripy blueberry waffle socks, and I'm so happy with them. I think that the colors are so fun and springy, and I really enjoyed working with this yarn. So I started off with 2x2 ribbing using my own hand-dyed yarn on my Healing colorway, and it's on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. I cast on 64 stitches, and I worked 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing. And then for the main body of the sock, I used Knit Picks Felici in the Hopscotch colorway, and I used the Blueberry Waffle sock pattern, which is a free pattern you can find on Ravelry, and it just gave it this beautiful texture, which I really, really love. It's so fun. This ice cream stitch marker is showing you, or Progress Keeper is showing you where I was last time I recorded a podcast, and that beautiful stitch mark or Progress Keeper is from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. I worked these socks 2 at a time, so on CHAPPY'S US 1 2.25 millimeter needles with a 40-inch cable. And I really enjoyed doing 2 at a time again, and I think that is my preferred method of making socks. So let's see, I increased to 68 stitches for once I got to the leg of the sock after the cuff. I increased to 68 stitches just because that fits my foot really well, that stitch count. And I did an afterthought heel, so I worked the body of the sock down through the foot, did a rounded toe and Kitchener the toe together. And then the afterthought heel pattern that I used is from the free pattern on Ravelry called Fork in the Road socks. And I heard about this sock pattern from Deborah of Meanwhile at the Castle podcast. She had mentioned this quite a while ago on a pair of socks that she had just tried, this sock pattern. And I really like the idea of an afterthought heel, but the one that I have tried before is by Kirby Werby, and I just don't like how that that heel pattern leaves a large ridge on the heel. That it really bothers me on the pair of socks that I've made using that. When I wear them, I thought maybe even after I wore them a while it would not bother me anymore, but still that ridge that is left on the bottom of the afterthought heel in that pattern, I don't like it. So I wanted to try this sock pattern because it gives a bit of a different heel. So this is more of a rounded heel. It decreases in the round. Let's see if I can show this a bit better. I don't know. It's kind of like the top of a hat, how it decreases. There you can kind of see it. So it decreases like in a star pattern. And it is supposed to fit the sock or the heel a lot better. Now the pattern calls for you to work in stockinette stitch for the length without doing any decreases yet to equal the length that is from the top of your thumb to the first knuckle. So you work that much just in, plain stockinette stitching without any decreases before you start the decreases, and as that's what the heel pattern calls for. I think that next time, I've only, just tried these on, I haven't worn them yet, so I'm not sure how they will wear, but it seems like this heel is just a little bit too baggy on my foot, so I think I will use this heel pattern again, but I think I will do a little less length before I start the decreases so that it's not quite so roomy in there. I did use the technique that the Kirby Werby YouTube video calls for to pick up the stitches to do the heel and to cut the yarn. I use that same method that she shows in that tutorial for this. This pattern calls for you to put in waste yarn, I believe. The Fork in the Road socks pattern, I think, calls for you to put in waste yarn, which I did not do. I just went in and inserted my needles on, either side of where I wanted the heel to go, and then I cut the yarn as the Kirby Werby tutorial shows you. So that worked really well. Okay, I think that is all. And make a really long leg. I always do that. That's how I like my socks. I really like longer socks to cover up my long legs that usually don't have pants that are long enough for them. My pants are usually too short, so the sock helps cover up my leg that's not covered up with my leggings. So anyway, really love these. My sock blockers are from CHAPPY'S Arts and Crafts. They're on eBay, and they have tons and tons of different choices of designs that are cut out of their sock blockers, and they're a good price and great quality. So you can definitely check out CHAPPY'S Arts and Crafts on eBay if you are interested. They have lots of different animals and even different breeds of dogs. You can find various different breeds of dogs and just tons and tons of different options for the cutout for these socks or sock blockers, and lots of different sizes as well. Okay, so I'm really excited to have these, really excited to see how I like that heel when wearing them, but I'm so happy to have them done. That's the second pair of socks that I have completed this year, which isn't fabulous, but I really don't work on socks a ton usually. It's just kind of here and there that I work on socks, so that's okay. I'm happy with 2 pairs of socks so far this year. Okay, my next work in progress is super exciting. I am making the Miss Moneybags bag or purse by Vintage Pearls, and this is for this is my Steeked project for the I Think I Can make along, and I'm also entering this into the bag make along that Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast and Amber of Maker's Haven are co-hosting. So I am super excited, and here is my progress. So I have actually finished knitting this. All the knitting is completed. I used Knit Picks palette in the black colorway for the main background color. And then for the pretty butterfly, I used a mini skein from, or the color work I should say, for the color work I used a mini skein from Amber of Maker's Haven. And it is, I don't have a name for it. I think it was in her advent calendar. And Marianne of Rock Islander sent it to me in a swap that we had done together. Here it is in the ball. So pretty. So I absolutely love how that worked up together. So pretty. The 2 colors, the black really sets off the colors in Amber's yarn so beautifully. And I love the design of this. So yeah, in the pattern, you can see that you have the 2 different options for either the bunnies or the butterfly. And both of those charts come with the pattern. And then there's these beautiful flowers up here on the top and also on the sides. And there's the other side. And so you start with this pattern on the bottom, working a flat piece using a nubbly tweed stitch on the bottom, which is, it's supposed to look like moss stitch but is more dense. And then you pick up all the stitches around and start working in the round to do the rest of the color work. And then over here on the sides, this is where I will steek. I will cut right here, and I have already reinforced the stitches along both sides. And now I'm ready to steek. So, shall we? Got my scissors. I thought it'd be fun to do it on the podcast. So, my first time steeking. I am a bit nervous also because I wanted to hold it up and show you all while I do it, but that's a little tricky, so I'm not going to be able to show you perfectly, but you can see I'm doing it. I should show you first. So the steek edge had 5 stitches, and I am going to cut right along this colored line, the line that the contrast color is made in. Okay, and I'm going to go right up through the top, I think. I better double check. I know I've read this before, but I just want to double check before I cut. Steek. Cut along the central foreground colored stripe and beyond to the top. I'll go through. Okay, here we go. Are you nervous? I'm a little nervous. Okay. Here I go. Cutting my yarn. Oh. Oh my goodness, it's so crazy. Ta-da! Yay! Okay, other side. It is very fun. Very fun actually to cut your yarn. A little nerve-wracking though. It's not quite as hard as it would be if I was doing like a sweater or something, right? It's just this little tiny pouch. So it's not quite so daunting. I did it. Ah, yay! I steeked! So cool. Okay, so now the pattern includes this little lining. What do you call this? Template. It includes this template for you to cut out a piece of lining using felt, they recommend. So I got this piece of black felt and have cut it out, and this will go somehow. I need to follow the instructions a bit better, but this will go inside here somehow and it will get stitched down nicely, hopefully. It should fit in there just right. I did already block this, by the way. I didn't mention that, but I did block this already before, which they tell you to do before you steek it. So yeah, that fits in there pretty well. And then I will sew on this clasp onto the top. And I ordered this from the link that is in the pattern. They link to the Etsy shop that sells these clasps that are just the right size for this project. So yeah, this shouldn't take long, I don't think, to finish this up. So I will hopefully have that all done by the next time I podcast to show you. So yay! I did it! I thought I could, and I did it! Okay, awesome. I think that's all for that, isn't it? Oh, I made this project using size 0 needles, which are 2mm. Anything else? I think that's it. Yay! So excited I was able to do that while recording. So, okay, my next work in progress is in my Linty project bag from Tanai Casey. And I love this. It's such a sturdy bag, and I love the corduroy on it. And I am making the Transitions shawl, which is by HANDKNITBYKAM. And I'm a little tangled right now because I have 3 different skeins of yarn attached to the project right now, because I am in the middle of a striped section where I try to carry the yarn as much as I can. All right. Oof. All right. I have quite a few ends that will need to be weaved in as well. And it is getting too big for this cable to really be able to show you very well, but it is a pretty big cable. I don't remember exactly the length of it, but anyway. This shell stitch marker shows you where I was last time I podcasted. So I haven't worked on this a ton, but also the rows, of course, are getting bigger and bigger as it grows. I think I'm definitely over 300 stitches right now. I think over 350. I think it's around I don't know, it's around a little over 350 right now for the stitch count. Anyway, I was able to work a couple of inches. I didn't have a ton of time to work on this project for some reason, I don't know. You'll see what else I've worked on, what else my week has brought me. Anyway, I absolutely love the shape of this shawl, and I love the colors that I'm using. I love how it's so springy and fresh looking. I wish you could see it a little bit better, but it's tricky. I am using my own hand-dyed yarn for this project. Oh, I love it. I can't wait to have this, but I'm also loving the process as well. I am using my own hand-dyed yarn. The main light color here is my Thought colorway, and it is on my new MCN base. which is called Solace. The base name is named Solace. And then again, the colorway is Thought. It is 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. So it's just a natural color with very light brown specks. And it is just absolutely gorgeous. It's a new base, so this is the first time that I have used it for a project, and I love it so much. Okay, the other colors that I am using, the peach color is my Humble colorway, which is just a solid light peach color. I love it so much. I love this color. And this is on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Okay, the next color I'm using, which I am actually on right now, I'm on a stripe of that, though you can't hardly see it because I've only done one row of it, but this is my Integrity colorway, and this is on my Twinkle Toes base, which is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold stellina. So this is just a natural base with light speckles of brown as the Thought colorway has. So it matches the Thought colorway quite a bit, except it also has these speckles of a coral color as well. So it ties in with the peach really nicely. And then this this light brown stripe is my Good Sense colorway, which I also love that, and I would really like to make a cardigan using this color at some point. And this is on a base that I'm not offering in my shop at this time. It was a sample skein that I got from my supplier, and it is 70% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. It's beautiful though. I love it, but I'm not offering it right now, just because I have to pare down how many bases I have. I have 9 different bases in my shop right now, so I have to stop at some point with offering so many different bases. Okay, anyway, yeah, I just absolutely love this. It's very simple and mindless. It's just stockinette stitches with increases as you go, of course. So it's really easy and enjoyable, and I absolutely love it. And I'm pretty hopeful that I'll get quite a bit more work done on this project this week. So anyway, because I really do want to have this for, you know, before summer comes. So we'll see how much work I can get done on it. I am using size 3 needles, which are 3.25 millimeter. All of the needles that I use are CHAPPY'S red lace, or for my socks I use the mini twist set, or anything that requires a thinner needle. Anyway, yeah, absolutely loving this. It's such a beautiful knit. So enjoyable. All right. My next work in progress is in my beautiful project bag from Marianne of Rock Islander. And it's my favorite bag of all. It's so beautiful. Especially because she made it specially just for me, which was so wonderful. And in here I have my lace dress body by Pernille Larsen, I think is how you pronounce it. And so last week, if you watched, I showed you that I had started this project, and I am making this baby dress for a lady at church who has a great niece that was born earlier in the year. And she asked me to make her a summer dress in a 9-month size. So I started with this piece. This turned out way too big because my gauge is off, even though I have gone down in needle sizes to try to get gauge by quite a few. You know, from what it was recommended, I've gone down quite a few needle sizes, but I'm still having my gauge way too loose, which is unusual for me. But anyway, I decided to start over and make the 3-month size in order to get the 9-month size. Does that make sense? So I was using the 9-month size stitch count for this piece, but it was turning out way too large, and so I did some math and determined that it would be better for me to make the 3-month size to get the right size that I needed. And I am using this little onesie, which was a recommendation from one of the viewers. Thank you again. To compare my project to a onesie, which is in a 6 to 9 month size. And it is looking so much better in this 3-month stitch count. So let me get this out of the way. I can hold this up and show you. This is matching so much better now. There, you can see that it's matching up just perfectly, really. I hope, since this is a 6 to 9 month onesie, I hope it's not too little, but I think it's going to be great. It's not blocked yet, so it will probably, I would think, maybe have a little bit more give to it once it's blocked. I am using Knit Picks Lindy Chain in the Sagebrush colorway, and Lindy Chain is 70% linen and 30% cotton. It's a fingering weight, and I hate it. I really don't like working with it. It doesn't feel nice on the hands. It doesn't, it is actually a chain of threads. You know, it's threads that are actually chained together, so it's quite rough even to run your hand along it, because there's like, it's like already knitted together in like an I-cord type fashion, I guess. Anyway, so it's really hard to pull through the stitches. It doesn't flow smoothly. I really don't like it. It's hard for me to get an even gauge, especially when I was working back and forth with purls down here at this section. Now I am working around in stockinette stitch, and so my stitches are a little bit more even. But you can see at the bottom part here, I was working a flat piece, so I was having to purl, and my purls were, I think it was my purl stitches that were turning out so much more loose than my knit stitches. Anyway, this project starts on the front, or no, the back piece, and you start on smaller needles for just these few rows of garter stitch. So I started with 00 needles. I forget the millimeter. I'll put those down. I'll put that down below. But you just work a few rows of garter stitch, and then you switch to the larger needles, which I am using size 1 2.25 millimeter needles now. And so you work this back piece up to about here, and then you work the front piece in the same way. And then once you get that front piece to the right spot, then you join the two pieces together and start working in the round just in stockinette stitch. Well, I did do a few short rows in the back to make the little bottom section a little bit more round. And so now I am just working in stockinette, or in the round, which is super easy, and I will just work that to 27 centimeters, I believe. I'm using this wonderful, so adorable stitch marker from Million Dot, and this is a Cloudberry, which I had never heard of before I got this set, but I love it so much. So I'm really hopeful that this will go smoothly from now on. And once I work the 27 centimeters in length, then I believe then the directions tell me to do the lace dress body section that goes over top of it. So this is basically a onesie that goes underneath the dress, the lacy dress that will lay on top of it. I can show you a picture in case you're not familiar with the pattern. So this is the pattern, or the picture. So, you know, obviously I'm working this bottom onesie section right now, and then I'll join the dress to the onesie and work in the round up to the top, I believe. So it's coming along much better now. I'm very happy with that, and like I said, I'm not really enjoying working with this yarn, so I'm glad it's just a little baby knit, and I'm also glad that I tried it, because I was thinking of making a garment for myself using this yarn, but now I know that I will probably not do that because I really am not enjoying it. The linen is supposed to soften up quite a bit once it's blocked, but it's still not fun to knit when it's not blocked, right? Maybe you should block or soak the yarn before you make it. Maybe that would make it a lot better, more enjoyable to work with. I don't know. Anyway. My next work in progress is in my Allison Barnes collection project bag, and it's getting really tight in there. It's getting large. I am so close to finishing this project. So this is the Doodler by Stephen West, and I am making this along with Christy Glass's knit along that she is hosting. It is called the KGK Doodler Cal. So she is hosting this Cal, and the idea is to only work on this project on Sundays, and that is what I am doing. And I started this, I think, on January 7th. So we have had 14 Sundays that we have worked on this project. And yeah, so 2 weeks exactly of actual work on this, and still not quite done, but it's very close. And I'm really confident that I'll be able to finish it next Sunday. I hope so. Okay, I am using my own hand-dyed yarn again. Wait, which way does this go? This is the bottom. Okay, here we go. It's getting very big. It's getting so close to the end. Okay, again, my own hand-dyed yarn. The lightest color is my Embrace colorway, speckled with black and plum and deep orange to match the other two colors. And then the deep orange color is called Enriched, and the deep purple color is called Honor. And this project started over here on these shorter sections, and you just continue to work those wedges as they got bigger and bigger, and then you worked this cable all along the side here, and then you picked up the stitches all along the bottom to work this contrasting color. And now I am done. The pattern calls for at least 3 wedges in this bottom section here, or an option to make 4 wedges. I did make 4 wedges, and some people have had problems with running out of yarn using this project, but I still have this much left of my Honor color. And I don't have the ball or the tiny cake left from my Embrace colorway, but it's about the same amount. I think I weighed it and I had 19 grams left of the lightest first color that I used. Oh, I forgot to mention that this is on my Radiant base, which is a fingering weight, 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. And so now I am on the edging, and there are 3 different options in the pattern for different bind offs or edges that you can do for the finishing. The first one, the option number 1, is an I-cord bind off. The option number 2 is a garter stitch border and an I-cord bind off, and the option number 3 is a garter stitch border with embellished picot scallops and I-cord bind off, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing the picot scallops. So it calls for you to bring in this, the color B that you used for the cabling for the bottom section. And I want to see if I can show you. Right here you can see this is where the picot design is starting. So these are made using some slip stitches to bring this Honor colorway, or the purple colorway, down into the other color. Does that make sense? Maybe I can show you a picture of what it looks like. Here's a picture. Kind of. Maybe there's a better picture. Not really. There, can you kind of see what that looks like when it's done? It's really cool. I like it a lot. I saw somebody had already finished theirs in our knit along, and they had done the picot edging, and I really loved the looks of it. So anyway, I only have one more row of knitting before I will start the bind off. So I think that's where I'm at. Next row. Yep. Yeah, the next, no, I'll do one more row, and then the following row will be my bind off row, my I-cord bind off row, and then I'll go back to do the picot on, there's 9 different picot clusters along the end, or along the edge here. So anyway, I am using size 4 needles, which are 3.5 millimeter, and yeah, I'm loving it, and I know I'm gonna love the finished product. I'm really excited to wear this. The shape is so cool. I can't wait till I have it all blocked out and see how that shape, you know, how it looks when it's all finished. So anyway, this has been it's not really a hard pattern at all. It's all garter stitch, except, you know, for the cables. I guess that's the only really hard part. There's lots of short row shaping in this pattern, and it's just been really enjoyable to work on. I've enjoyed doing a Sunday only project. It's been fun to break up my projects with this one, you know, bringing it out only 1 day a week. And really 2 weeks for a shawl is not too bad, even though, you know, I've drawn it out for several weeks, having only worked on it 1 day a week, but still. Oh, I forgot to show you that this project keeper also from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights is showing you where I was last time I podcasted. So, you know, not a ton of, there's only about 1 inch of work there that I have made, but of course the stitch count is huge right now. I wonder what it is. It's over 600, 644 stitches. Is that right? Yes, 644 stitches. So obviously that takes quite a while to get across a row. So I really wanted to finish that last row on Sunday, but it was like 11:30 at night and I was so tired, so I turned in. The third, or this B color has the most of the 3 different colors. The color that I'm using now, which again is my enriched color, that has quite a bit of yardage still left. So anyway, yeah, loving this knit so much. Okay. All right, I only have one other work in progress that I haven't shown you in a while. So I'm excited that I got a little bit of work done on this project. It's being held in my little wire basket full of my scraps because it is my scrappy afghan that I am working on. And this I am using a hexagon pattern. And I am just loving how this is working out. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. Okay, I am not using, I just made my own, or I just made up my own pattern for this. I mean, I didn't follow a pattern. There's tons of hexagon patterns out there, crocheted hexagon patterns, so any one will do. I do 4 rounds for each hexagon. And just using all scraps of yarn, and it's so much fun because the middle section takes less than 1 gram. I tried to weigh a middle section and it wouldn't even register on my scale. So it can use the tiniest of scraps. So I have, you know, scraps that are just tiny, and I'll be able to get a center out of that, or maybe even one of the other rounds, because the other, so the center, I work 2 rounds for the center color, and then I use a second color for the 3rd round and a 3rd color for the 4th round. I am joining as I go, so there are also several tutorials on YouTube for how to do a crochet, you know, join as you go crochet. You just basically do a slip stitch into the stitch that's right across from where you want this one to join in order to join them, and then you continue crocheting into this 3rd row. And then once you do 1 stitch, then you go back up to this hexagon, and right across from where you want it to join, you just do another slip stitch into that little section. I hope that makes sense. I'm also crocheting over all of my ends as I go, so I only have ends along the outside where I will join more hexagons. But here's the back side, and you can see that I don't have any ends to weave in. So that's really, really nice because it doesn't leave a ton of ends for you to go back and work or to weave in when you're all done with your project. So it's a little tedious, you know, because it's tiny. Each little hexagon is so small, but I really enjoy it. I've been crocheting for many years, and so this is just a really relaxing, enjoyable project for me to work on. I started, well, this actually was my first hexagon, but then I started, I think the first time I showed you this project, I had this little hexagon of hexies done. And then the next time I showed you, I had worked all the way around that, like this. So right now I am working, all of the new ones since the last time I showed you are from these two and all the way around the outside. So I will do I'll do 4 more, 1, 2, 3, 4 along the top here to have another hexagon shape. And then I'll just continue to work in the round until I get it to the right width that I want it to be. And then I'll start working, up and down, or however which way I want to work. I'm using all fingering weight. I am using my, where did I put my hook? Here it is. I'm using a Clover size 2.75 millimeter or C hook, which I really enjoy this hook. And yeah, just using all my scraps from all my different projects. I was able to work in a bunch of the little tiny balls that I was sent from Susie of the swap that I shared with you on the last episode that I recorded. I was able to use a bunch of those minis, which I think are all from Molly of a Homespun House. So this color right here is from her. This pretty color that's on this section is from her. All of the ones that I use, this one here on the outside is from her. So I really enjoyed working this one here, this green color. I really enjoyed working with all of those, this center one. So anyway, it's so much fun to see the different colors together because I try to keep it really, really random. I try not to put 2 of the same color next to each other. For example, you can see this pink, this is my healing color again that I used on my socks. I try to spread those out so they're not right next to each other. But, I try to keep it random as far as what colors I put together. And it's fun to see the different combinations of colors together. A lot of times colors that I wouldn't think about putting together, but once I put them together, I'm like, oh, I really like those. I really love this color combination here. And actually, this one is what inspired the colors that I chose for my doodler. I had worked this one up, and I really loved how those colors look together. So again, this is my Honor colorway, my Enriched colorway, and this is a different speckled colorway. I ended up making the Embrace colorway that I'm using for my doodler shawl as a new colorway specifically for that shawl. But anyway, it was inspired by this because of the color combination that I had there. I really liked that. So anyway, it's fun to see. There's so many that I really love how the colors worked up together. So anyway, this is just such a fun little project. I did have one of the viewers, Jeanette, had asked me if I would write up the pattern for this, just because she just wanted to give me credit for this pattern. But I've just come to the conclusion that I hate writing patterns. It's just not my thing. I used to have I think 9 patterns on my Etsy shop, but I actually just took them off because every time that I would, when I get a sale on my Etsy shop, my iPad goes cha-ching. It's such a nice sound. And all of my kids know it too. They're like, oh, Mom, you sold something. They get so excited. So anyway, whenever I hear that, I get excited. But if I see that, I just took those patterns off. So I had been selling patterns still until like a week ago. I took them off, or maybe not even that long ago. Anyway, whenever I would have a pattern sale, it would be such a disappointment. I'd be like, oh, it's just a pattern. You know, because I think maybe somebody's bought yarn, and I get so excited when somebody buys yarn from my shop. And then it's just a pattern, you know. It's all, I think all my patterns, I think, were only $4. So, you know, it's just like, oh, it's just $4. I would just get, I mean, I should be grateful for every sale, and I really am, but does that make sense? Like when I would hear that, I would get excited that there would be a sale of yarn, and then it was a pattern, and it was not quite as exciting because there's just no interaction. When I get sales of yarn, I get to interact with the customer a lot more, and with the pattern, I hardly ever hear anything from the customers that buy my pattern. I've hardly ever seen any finished projects, probably because I didn't have them on Ravelry, which is another story because I tried to do that and I don't know, it was just beyond me. And like I said, I just didn't enjoy it. This is becoming a long story, I'm sorry. But anyway, I just decided that I didn't enjoy the whole process of having a pattern, writing the pattern, putting the pattern up, and then if somebody does have a question about the pattern, it's been quite a while ago since I wrote those patterns or even worked them, so I would have to go back to the pattern and try to figure out if they had a question. How did I do this, and how can I answer their question? A lot of times I would have to go back and look at my samples and try to count the stitches and figure out how I did it to explain it a little bit better. I didn't get a lot of questions for my patterns, which was nice, but when I did, I was always like, oh no, somebody has a pattern question. Anyway, I decided that it was going to be better for me just to not do patterns anymore. So thank you, Jeanette, for wanting to give me credit, but I don't want credit for this pattern. I would much rather, I did put notes on my project page for this project that you can certainly go check out. If you do have any questions about what my notes that I've written, I would be more than happy to help any of you viewers to just figure out what I'm doing. But again, there are several free hexagon tutorials and patterns online, and I'm sure that you all will be able to find something that would work as well. But again, if you do want to do my exact stitch count, I did put some notes. I think I'll try to go back and maybe make them a little bit more detailed on my project page, but hopefully that will make sense. And if not, please don't hesitate to ask me if you do have any questions about my specific stitches for this project. Okay, so that is all of my works in progress. So I have received a few more squares for the 2018 collaboration Afghan. That is an Afghan that I am organizing to collaborate with 48 other indie yarn dyers. And I have asked them to choose one of their colorways and knit or crochet a 7-inch square and send them to me. And then I am going to be stitching them all together and making an Afghan. And then once the Afghan is complete, I'm going to be mailing it to Lisa of Indie Untangled, and she's going to have it at her Indie Untangled trunk show in October at Rhinebeck. And it will be given away at Indie Untangled or that weekend somehow. I'm not sure of the details of how she's going to give that Afghan away, but there will be an opportunity for attendees of the Indie Untangled trunk show to win this Afghan once it's completed. So it's super exciting. I have received a square from Sarah of One Hand in the DYEPOT yarns. And this beautiful yarn is called Pink Grapefruit, the colorway. And it is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon base. It's blowing out the color a little bit. It's a beautiful bright color that is quite tonal with lighter areas, as you can see. And all of these are in fingering weight. All the squares are supposed to be in fingering weight. So I just love the color of that one so much. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's such a beautiful yarn. And I also received a square from Melanie of BAAD Mom Yarns. This is her, did you see her line, her, I don't know, what do you call that? Slogan or whatever, luxury yarns with a Celtic twist. And the square that she made looks very Celtic as well, doesn't it? So it's beautiful. This is on her aubergine colorway. Oh, that's such a beautiful stitch. I wonder if she tells me about the base. She didn't tell me what base she used, but it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Melanie. I love this one too. It's so gorgeous. I am just so excited to see this come together. So I now have 6 squares from 6 indie dyers. So it's coming along, 1 square at a time. So exciting. You can follow along on Instagram with the hashtag 2018 collaboration Afghan if you're interested to see any of the other participants. And of course I will be sharing with you all the process of getting all of those squares from each of the hand dyers, and as I work to join all the squares together in the Afghan. So stay tuned for that. Okay, I got some new goodies in the mail. I watched the Rainy Knits podcast, which is, I really enjoy. It is hosted by Justine, and she just started an Etsy shop where she is selling these beautiful stitch markers. They are really lightweight and they are snag free and they're beautiful. So I ordered myself a set of these beautiful stitch markers, and she sent me an extra set, which was so nice. Thank you again, Justine. That was so nice of you. So she sent me an extra set to give away. So I will have this as one of the prizes for the I Think I Can Make Along. And here is the set that she sent for the giveaway. So beautiful. Oh, I want this little guy to show better here. So pretty. So I am just really excited to put these on one of my projects. I love them. Thank you so much, Justine, again, for donating a prize, and she sent little mint along as well. So, and such a cute little, very cute packaging, I think. So cute. If there are any other makers out there that would like to donate a prize for the I Think I Can Make Along, I would be so happy to accept any other prizes that you would like to have me give away on the podcast. You can certainly get in contact with me through my email, again, which is noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. Okay, lastly, I have another shawl kit to show you. Each time I podcast, I try to show a set of 3 skeins that are a nice shawl kit. And I have in the past shown a shawl kit from the shawl kit set that I have for sale on my Etsy shop, which is for the Daylight Fading Shawl by Destiny Meyer of Nifty Knittings. I collaborated with her last year to come up with some different yarn combinations for a new shawl design that she made. And so the listing for this, the shawl kit has 9 different color combinations that you can choose from, and then also with the yarn comes the pattern. So along with your purchase, you receive a copy of her pattern. So this is I have shown one of the combinations before, and this is just another one of the combinations that I have available for that shawl kit. This is called the Deep Observation Shawl Kit set, because for each of the different sets of shawl kits, I have combined the different colorway names to make a name. So does that make sense? Anyway, this deep navy blue color is called Deep Waters. And then the variegated color is called Observe. So that's why this set is called Deep Observation. Does that make sense? So each of my skeins of yarn come with a progress keeper that I make. So you can see those on here. And each of my colorways are named from a proverb, because that's where my business name comes from. My business name comes from Noble Character comes from Proverbs 31. And I also name all of my colorways from a proverb. So for example, this observe colorway comes from Proverbs 23 verse 26. My son, give me your heart and let your eyes observe my ways. So just as an example of how I name my yarns. So this variegated one has a light tan base, and then it's speckled with navy blue and brown and plum. So there's some orangey speckles in there. Quite a few different speckles mixed in that one. So this is on my pitter patter base as well, which is again 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and that is the only base that you can order this kit on. It's specifically for the pitter patter base. So otherwise all of my listings are for, you can order them on any of my bases, which again I have 9 different bases, from fingering weight to worsted weight and everything in between. So you can certainly check that out. There should be a list on each listing that shows you each of my different bases that you can order each colorway on. So anyway, I would appreciate very, very much anyone that would like to check out my Etsy shop. I just, like I've said, just get so excited about every sale. So thank you so much. Several people have purchased from my Etsy shop recently and have mentioned that they have heard about me through this podcast. So that is just so exciting to know that I am able to, communicate with my customers through this podcast and to get involved in this community even more. And it's just so exciting. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with you all, and in any way, whether through the comments on YouTube here or through my Etsy shop or through Instagram. It's so much fun to interact with you all and to get to know some of you a little bit more, or through the Ravelry group as well. So thank you so much for interacting with me. I absolutely love it. So we have had a great week again, I think. I think everything has gone well since I last spoke to you all. Let's see. I really can't think of what we have done. We've been doing schoolwork still, of course. I homeschool our 5 children. Well, the youngest is only 4, so I don't do a whole lot with him, but he's around. And my oldest is 9, so they're pretty close together. We've got ages 9, 8, 7, 5, and 4. So 4 boys and 1 girl in the middle. So they obviously keep me very busy. And yeah, we've been doing well with school. I don't know what else has been going on. The weather's been crazy. We've had snow again, which several people have around the world, but it's just so strange. We're supposed to get warmer weather today through Thursday. It's supposed to be up in like the 70s on Thursday, I think, which is so exciting. But then it gets cold again over the weekend. Like I think the high on Friday is in the 30s. So anyway. But we are doing well. I guess no news is good news, right? We're doing great. I really don't know what else to say. So anyway, I just absolutely appreciate you all joining me today. It has been so much fun to speak with you about the different projects I've been working on, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, I would really appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to this channel if you would like. I would really appreciate that as well. I hope you all have a great week. Bye.